The following is a pre-recorded show. Welcome to Winning in Retirement with your host, Brian Akers, certified financial planner professional and founder of Akers Financial Group. Now, helping you win in your retirement, here's Brian Akers.
Hello, I'm Brian Akers from Akers Financial Group. Today I have a very special guest with me. That's America's IRA expert, Ed SLOTT. Ed SLOTT is a nationally recognized IRA distribution expert, professional speaker, and television personality and best-selling author. He's known for his ability to turn advanced tax strategies into understandable, actionable, and entertaining advice. He has been named the best source of IRA advice by Wall Street Journal. The USA Today wrote, "It would be tough to find anyone who knows more about IRAs than Ed SLOTT." What do you think, Ed SLOTT? Is that a good intro for you?
Well, it sounds good, but the devil's in the details, you know.
Yeah.
It all sounds good, but the main point is we're here to help people keep more of their hard-earned retirement money.
Absolutely, because we work hard our whole life, and we're taught to go pre-tax all the time, and it ends up we might pay more tax at the end if we're successful.
That's right. And most people are not aware of that. Probably the biggest mistake people make is not playing the second half of the game. You know, the first half, it's kind of like a football game. The football game has two halves, the first half and the second half. And, you know, there's an old saying in football, the score at halftime is irrelevant. Give me the score at the end of the game, and then I'll tell you who won. It's the same thing with retirement. You know how many football games, Brian, if you think about it, are won in the last 3, 4, or 5 seconds? You ever notice that?
Absolutely.
Some kick at the end, some mistake at the end, some whatever. It always happens at the end. It's the same thing with retirement. The first half is when you're doing all your hard working, building, saving, and investing, and sacrificing so you can have something for retirement. But the mistake most people make is that at halftime, when they finish that first half, the working and building and saving, all of that, they tap themselves on the back. They say, wow, look at that. We've got all the money we'll ever need for retirement. They go in at halftime, pat themselves on the back, and they think they're done. Meanwhile, IRS is coming out. They're playing the third and fourth quarter. They're playing nobody, so they win. So the point is you have to play in the second half getting that money out. After all, why did you do all that sacrificing and saving? So you can have more and enjoy more of your hard-earned money in retirement. And most advisors are not able to help people past halftime. So I'm glad I'm on with you. One of the things you didn't mention when you introduced me is I created a group of elite advisors, I call them that, members like you of Ed SLOTT's Elite IRA Advisor Group, where we train advisors not on investments. Remember, most financial advisors can help you with your investments. To me, that's the first half of the game, and that's important because you have to have something to protect it. But now that you have it, you may have to move to a better educated advisor who has specialized knowledge in the tax planning. It's all about the tax planning. So that's what I do. We're an educational company, and we train advisors throughout the country, like Brian, who want to play and help their clients in the second half of the game keep more of their hard-earned money through good tax planning. Now, that's where most advisors stop at the first half because they don't really have the skills and the specialized knowledge to help people in the second half of the game get that money out. That's why we train not on investments, but on all the great tax planning strategies to help people that are listening like you to make the tax laws work for you rather than against you. So if you don't have an advisor that has a specialized training, and I'm telling you now, most don't. Remember, Brian, when I talk about our Elite IRA Advisor Group, he's one of only about 500 advisors in the whole country at that level. So that's part of my resume, what I do for people as an education company. I do it through training advisors. I should say we as a company do it through training advisors like Brian to help clients keep more of their hard-earned money and actually have them in a situation where they can create more of it and keep more of it. I mean, that's the point of retirement. So that is the key part. That's probably the biggest mistake people make, thinking that once they have all the money they need for retirement, that's the end of the game. No, that's only halftime. So now we're in the third and fourth quarter, and now you're going to need somebody who can help you guide you the rest of the way.
Absolutely. And so what Ed and I did for you, the listener, here on Winning in Retirement is we've gotten together and put together a show. We're going to be covering some basic topics. It's 4 ways to maximize your retirement savings. And because you're listening to Ed SLOTT with me here on Winning in Retirement, we have his newest book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. And for anybody that comes in and meets with us and sits down for that first initial meeting, we'll give you a copy of his free book. So as you're listening today and hearing information, you're going to hear a lot of things. We're going to try to educate you about what's going on with our retirement savings and ways to maximize retirement savings. Here in the first quarter, we're just generally talking about reducing taxes and why it's so important. What are your thoughts on that, Ed?
Well, you mentioned my book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. Why do I call it that? Because if you do nothing, again, going back to playing in that second half of the game, I believe your retirement savings is a ticking tax time bomb. Say that 3 times fast. Ticking tax time bomb. Because of the tax growing, building, and compounding. And this is what I meant when I talked about before, what I was referring to before. The problem of the tax building up, and you just asked me about that before. People build up tax-deferred retirement savings in their IRAs and 401ks. But you have to remember that most of this money has not yet been taxed. So it's a sitting tax problem, what I call a ticking tax time bomb, waiting to happen just when you'll need the money most in retirement. So you have to address that. Taxes are going to be the single biggest factor that separates people from their hard-earned savings in retirement.
Absolutely. Now, in the year 2022, the tax brackets, would you see them as pretty good historically?
They're the best we've ever seen, and the only time they'll get better is actually next year. Due to inflation, it's kind of odd. People complain about inflation, but inflation affects tax breaks too. The brackets are expanded next year, so you could still push more money out of your IRA at low rates. People always complain about taxes. That's been forever. But these are the good old days. What we have, you mentioned 2022. 2022 is we have right now maybe the lowest tax rates you may ever see in your lifetime. May even get a little lower next year and the year after, but at some point the hammer is going to come down because the math. Look at the math. Look at our debt and deficit levels. That's why I say it's just a matter of time till they have to raise taxes at some point. The whole country is living on a credit card, and you don't want to be stuck when the music stops having all of this money that you worked hard to save in your IRA and 401k, and now all of a sudden taxes are through the roof. You can do something about it now by getting some of that money out strategically, and we're going to talk about a few of those things while rates are on sale. Taxes are on sale.
Absolutely. So this Tax Cut and Jobs Act back in 1718, that created these lower brackets, and then that lasts until the end of 2025, and then we go back to the old rules back in 2026. Is that
That's right. So you only really have a 4-year holiday, a 4-year plan, really. And I would get it started now before this year ends, because after this year, you may only have 3 years of opportunity. And the more years you could spread this income, the less you will pay. Right now, as Brian said, if the law doesn't change, rates will be increased substantially in 2026. That sounds far away, but it's only 4 tax years. And 1 tax year, this year, 2022, is almost gone. That's why you really should get together with an advisor like Brian, who's trained on these tax strategies before the end of the year to see what advantages, what tax moves you can make before this year closes.
Absolutely. Now, in general, the key factors about why pay tax now, there's the low tax brackets. We have the volatility in the markets, so your investments might be lower, which might lead to certain advice like Roth conversions. The idea is really to try to maximize your money by trying to save this tax that we know we're going to pay some tax. Why not pay a little tax instead of a greater tax in the future?
Well, remember, this is not a choice. People might be listening and say, why would I pay tax now when I could put it off to another day? Remember, every day that goes by, you will owe more tax as your IRA appreciates. You might like to see it go up on good days in the market when it goes up. Right. You might like to see it, it's going up and up and up, but it's going up for your partner, Uncle Sam, too. Who needs a partner? Ask anybody in business. If you got rid of your partner, wouldn't you have more money? Don't look around, just saying. Uncle Sam is a partner on your retirement savings. Your IRA is an IOU to the IRS. Think of your IRA as a joint account with Uncle Sam. There's no obligation to have for you to keep growing an account for Uncle Sam. I don't even know if you know this, but he's not even your real uncle. There's no obligation there. Most people just let it go because they don't have advisors like Brian, things we're talking about today, and our other elite advisors around the country who are trained in exactly this, taking advantage of the tax law, making the tax law work for you so you can have more, keep more, and make it less. But you have to actually do something. Part of those things, it's strategically good if you can get some of that money out while tax rates are low. It does. So people might say, why pay taxes now? It off, because if you put it off, the situation will get worse and you'll pay more later on when you'll need it most in retirement. That's why we call it planning. That's why you want to make these moves, or at least have conversations. I would urge you to have a conversation with advisors like Brian that can go through some of these strategies so you can get the ball rolling before this year comes to a close.
Absolutely. It's just a little over a month left in the year of 2022. Right. And there's a few things to do that can be done, but they must be done by 12/31. So it's not something you want to put off if you want to try to save. Now, the clients that have been successful in their life, they really, truly need to pay attention to what tax bracket they're paying now and the tax bracket of their future. The more successful you've been, the more this tax is going to be. What Ed has been covering for us is our number one way to save money or to maximize your retirement savings, and that is to reduce taxes and to understand the tax brackets that are out there so that you don't pay more than your fair share, right? All right, so Akers Financial Group, we're local, we're independent. We don't report to a big company on Wall Street. We report to you. We have offices in Forest Hill and Lutherville and clients all around the country. It's so easy to begin winning in retirement. Call today for a free consultation with one of our team of advisors and receive a copy of Ed Slott's most recent book, The New Retirement Savings Tax Time Bomb, at that first meeting. Go ahead and give us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. We'll give you a call on Monday to schedule your free in-person meeting. Go to AkersFinancialGroup.com or give us a call at 833-946-7384 to start planning for your retirement now. Taxes will be the single biggest factor that separates people from their retirement dreams. That's a great quote from Ed Slott, and Ed Slott and I will explain in 2 minutes when we come back in the second quarter of Winning in Retirement.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Yes, welcome back to Winning in Retirement. I'm Brian Akers, certified financial planner practitioner from Akers Financial Group. And here with me today is America's IRA expert, Ed Slott. Ed Slott is a nationally recognized IRA expert, professional speaker, and of course you've seen him on Maryland Public Television and many other places. Ed, you ready to go here in the second quarter?
I'm ready to go. Remember the mantra, which we didn't give you yet, but I'll give it now to set this up.
Alrighty.
The key to having more money is move your money from accounts that are forever taxed to never taxed, because tax-free is always better. Now, how do we get there, Brian?
Well, that's exactly what this whole quarter is going to be about. Today shows 4 ways to maximize retirement savings, and I believe how we get there is understanding that client and talking about tax-free, from Roth IRAs to other options that are out there. Now, Ed, there's this amazing quote that you put in your book. It says, taxes will be the single biggest factor that separates people from their retirement dreams. So this ties right into the Roth IRA.
absolutely. Taxes are such a big factor. If you go back during your lifetime, and when I ask people at seminars, I say, going back over your life, what do you think your biggest single expense has been? And most people will say kids.
Yeah,
probably right there. Or they might say healthcare, but it really is taxes. Add up the taxes you've paid over your life, and you could have bought 3 homes. I mean, if you think about it, and then everybody is worried today. All you hear about is inflation. Things cost more, and they have all these people on the news telling you what to do. You can't do anything. The only thing you can do with inflation is save more or spend less, or earn more and spend less. Things cost more. You need more money. One of the best ways to find more money is to save on taxes. Give less to IRS, less to Uncle Sam. That's how you could really beat inflation. You can make the tax code work for you rather than against you. One of the best ways to do that is with the Roth IRA. Now, I'll say up front, I love the Roth IRA because I love anything that's tax-free. Remember, tax-free means you keep 100% of your money. You don't have to share it with Uncle Sam. Lots of people like to share. It's a good trait. I learned that in kindergarten. I like it. They tell you about sharing your toys, your crayons, your snacks, but not your money. No obligation to share your money, but most people do it because they don't know what to do. And that's why Brian is taking extensive training with us, with our group. And if you're just tuning in, what we do at SLOTT & Company, we're an educational company. We don't teach on investments. People think I do because I talk about IRAs and plans, but I teach, and our company teaches tax planning strategies to help you keep more of your money. You'll have more if you pay less to the IRS. And Brian has been a member for several years training with us on these tax strategies. So I'm hoping once you're hearing this, you say, maybe I should take a conversation with Brian's group and see where I could save money, because everybody can. One easy way, and I'm not saying a Roth conversion is for everybody, but everybody with an IRA should at a minimum have a conversation to see if we can move some of that money from your IRA, which is a taxable account or tax deferred, it will be taxed, to a tax-free account, a Roth IRA, what I call moving your money from accounts that are forever taxed to never taxed. You will love, like I do, never taxed, because Roth IRAs will never be subject to income tax for the rest of your life. And even under the new tax laws, for 10 years after that, to your beneficiaries. So there's no question the Roth IRA is the single best retirement account to have. The only question is, how much will you have to pay to get it? Because nothing's for free. You have to pay when you convert from an IRA to a Roth. But today, we have very low tax rates, and that's the secret to taking advantage of these low rates. Get some of that money out in these low brackets and move it to tax-free territory. So that's the essence of the Roth IRA.
Absolutely. It's been a great vehicle or a tool to use since 1998. And so what happens is with this great tax law we have right now in these tax brackets is understanding how to maximize that bracket to convert what you can fit in. And we're doing that throughout the year with all of our clients, using the volatile market as a great way to reposition from IRA to Roth and then watch the recovery come up in a tax-free vehicle. My favorite saying is pay tax today and never again. So I love a Roth IRA, just like you do, Ed.
Yeah, pay once and never again. Or like the farmer's analogy, pay tax on the seed and the crop grows for free.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's excellent. I like that. What I like about it is that explosion of value being tax-free. Many people are handcuffed because they've saved pre-tax their whole life, and that's their main savings vehicle. When they get to retirement, they look at the money and they understand that it's not all their money. It's really a large portion to Uncle Sam, and then they get the net down to you. And so the idea is to have a proper planning and build and diversify your actual holdings of your retirement assets.
Right. Most people think about you made a good point there. Again, I'm not an investment person. We teach, as I've been saying, on tax strategies, and that's where Brian is trained on that, which is unlike most other advisors. Most advisors can help you make money, but the key is making it is great, but if you don't keep it and you get swallowed up in taxes, what have you done? You built a savings account for Uncle Sam. Where Brian is trained, and other advisors that we train like Brian throughout the country, is on helping you keep it with tax strategies, making the tax law work for you rather than against you. Because if you do nothing, I always say in my programs, you want your plan, not the government plan. When I say that, sometimes people say, Ed, what is the government plan? Maybe I'm interested. No, you're not interested in the government plan. But what is it? I have to know. That's easy. The government plan is doing absolutely nothing and letting it all happen on the government plan's terms. You want your plan. You want to be in control of your tax rate, which you can do with the Roth IRA by moving from an IRA to a Roth and taking advantage of today's low rates. Yes, it means paying some tax now, but you get something for your money. You get freedom from taxes for the rest of your life, and you'll never have to worry about the uncertainty of what future higher tax rates could do to your standard of living in retirement. Who wants to worry about that? Maybe at some point, I gotta believe, maybe I'm wrong, the government's going to do something about these high deficit and debt levels and raise money through taxes. If they do that, guess who's a sitting duck? People with IRAs and 401ks. They're the low-hanging fruit because that money has not yet been taxed. Now, I'm not saying everybody should convert everything, but Brian talked about diversification. Again, I'm not an investment person, but everybody knows basic investing. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You wouldn't put all your money into one stock. So why would you do the same thing with your tax planning? Most people have all their money in a big bag of taxable accounts, IRAs and 401ks. Why wouldn't you diversify your tax position, at least have something as a hedge against future tax rates going up, something in tax-free territory? That's where the Roth comes in, because you'll have to pay a tax to get there, but the tax you pay is not money you would save if you didn't have to pay. Some people don't get that, so I'll say it again. You might say, well, if I don't pay the tax, I'm saving money. No, you're saving money now, but that's short-sighted. Later on, that IRA of yours hopefully will grow, and it'll be larger. The tax will be due at some point at the future, probably on a higher balance and maybe at a higher rate, leaving you with less. The minute you move from a never taxed to forever taxed account, from an IRA to a tax-free Roth, now all the money that is earned, you keep 100% of. You won't have to share it with Uncle Sam ever again for the rest of your life. Plus, you have your plan. You're in control of your tax rate, which on those monies will be zero. You won't be forced to take money out. Remember, if you don't do this, you might say, well, I'll save money up front. Not for long. The tax rules say at age 72, you're going to be forced to take the money out. Now, you're on the government plan. Who needs that? So there's a lot to be said for diversifying, as Brian was talking about it, getting some money, moving more of your money, I call it tax risk diversification, into tax-free vehicles to protect you against the worry about future higher taxes. It's a hedge against future higher tax rates.
And when I think about this, I think about my conversations with clients about Roth and Roth conversions. And one of the questions they always ask is, well, what if the tax law changes? Is that the reason I shouldn't do a Roth? And I tell them, no, we really need to do the Roth. And the tax law changes, they typically get grandfathered in. Has that been what you've found over your career?
Well, the tax law, look, tax laws can always change. In case the listeners don't know, I'm a tax advisor, a CPA. And as CPAs, we have an old saying, tax laws are written in pencil. Okay, You can't trust these guys in Congress. Anytime the wind blows a certain way, they change the rules. But we have what we have now, the opportunity to grow tax-free for the rest of your life in a Roth. But the big question, I'm glad you brought that up, Brian. The big question I get from people, how can we trust Congress that the Roth will always be tax-free? Because what if they need money, like I keep saying? I believe the answer to that is yes, because if they kill the Roth IRA, they kill the biggest golden goose Congress ever had to raise revenue. I'm going to tell you a secret about Congress. And you know what Ben Franklin said about secrets? You know Ben Franklin from the $100 bill, right? You know what he said about secrets? 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. But I'm going to give you the secret. The secret is Congress secretly loves Roth IRAs. Yep. They're addicted. They're addicted to the tax money it brings in up front. Lucky for us, most of Congress are the worst financial planners on earth. They're short-sighted. They only look at the money they get up front. So, they like to see the money up front and it fits their 2 or 10-year budget cycles and it looks good. Why not take advantage of their short-sightedness? So that's why I don't think they'll ever touch it, because the only way to get Roth money in is to already tax it. The only money that can go into a Roth is already tax money. So Congress gets their money up front. And people like it. So it's one of those provisions that Congress loves. So with all the talk, they're not going to kill their golden goose. They see it brings in money. This is why over so many years, they've been allowing more people in all different ways to get more money into Roths with the creation of Roth 401ks and Roth 403bs and opening the floodgates like they did over 10 years ago to let high-income people even do Roth conversions.
Absolutely. And you can actually tell when the Roth IRA first came out was 1998, and the last time the federal budget was balanced on an annual basis was 1998. That was that Congress back that time. Now, as we close out here in the second quarter, what I want to remind everyone is this. When you're in retirement, you want the biggest worry of your day to be about where you're going to drink your morning cup of coffee, not the taxes that you're paying and increasing and increasing. What you want to do is have every day seem like a Saturday free of stress. You want your retirement income and investment and tax planning taken care of by the team of advisors at Akers Financial Group. If this is the future you want, it's not too late. It's so easy to begin winning in retirement. Meet with one of our team of advisors. That meeting will be in person or a Zoom meeting. At that meeting, as you begin to work with us here at Akers Financial Group, we'll provide Ed Slott's most recent book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. So when you are ready to sit down for a free consultation, you give us a call, 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. We'll give you a call on Monday to schedule your free in-person meeting. Go to AkersFinancialGroup.com or give us a call at 833-946-7384 to start planning for your retirement now. Will Rogers said the difference between death and taxes is death doesn't get worse every time Congress meets. We'll talk about this when we come back in 2 minutes in the second half of Winning in Retirement.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. I'm Brian Akers, and here with me today is America's IRA expert. That's Ed Slott, CPA, tax expert, and best-selling author. And he's been on Maryland Public Television many times. And we want to welcome Ed Slott to the second half of our show. What do you do in second halves when you come out of the locker room up there in New York?
Oh, you mean in a football game or something?
Football, or when you're growing up, what sport did you play?
Well, we played in the street mostly. Kids don't do that.
So you didn't have any halftime there.
Yeah, we went to the schoolyard and played stickball, football in the street. Nice. We played at schools, but most times you were out all the time. I got to tell you, today it's so different. I know this is off the tax theme, but you asked about growing up. You remember almost 70, so I'm talking about growing up in the late 50s, early 60s.
Wow.
If parents did what our parents did, they'd all be locked up for child abuse.
Yeah, true.
They sent you out. Go out in the street, go out to the schoolyard. We don't want to see you till 6 o'clock at dinner. And that's it. So you were always playing somewhere. It's different now. Everything's a play date. I saw it growing up with my own, raising my own kids. But The second half, the reason Brian asked me about that, I always talk about that in terms of retirement, because the first half is all your working years. The second half is enjoying it. Yes, you can enjoy it. Most people spend their second half in retirement worrying about everything. But that's why you're listening to this program. And that's why you have an advisor here like Brian Akers. And for those of you who don't know me, I run a company, been doing it for over 30 years, SLOTT and Company. We're an education company. We train financial advisors like Brian, not on investments, on tax planning, because that's where I believe you can make the most money, more than in the market. You can save tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands with good tax planning, making the tax law work for you rather than against you. And Brian is one of a group of only about 500 advisors throughout the country that have this level or are exposed to this level of specialized knowledge in tax planning for retirement accounts. Why is that so important? Because today, most people's largest assets, savers and workers, like many of you listening, most of the money is in a tax-deferred account, a 401k, an IRA, and that money is growing and growing, and so is Uncle Sam's share, so is the tax bill. So when you come to the second half of the game, and that's why Brian talked about the second half, you need to get an advisor that can give you strategies to get it out at the lowest rate so you can keep more of your hard-earned money. That's what all this is about. That's where you can save a fortune. And those savings are guaranteed, not like the stock market, because you can use strategies. We talked about one in the last session, the Roth IRA, moving to tax-free territory. I'm a big fan of tax-free, especially as an accountant, because anytime we can cut your tax bill, you'll keep more of your hard-earned money. And that's what Brian's all about. So I'm very happy to be on this program with him, regardless of what I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's awesome hearing the childhood. I guarantee your parents never gave you orange slices on the way out the door either. All right. So
no, sent us to the school, played stickball all day long. That's mostly what we did. Absolutely.
So here in the second half of the show, this third quarter, what we're doing is we're doing 4 ways to maximize your retirement savings. In the third quarter, the concept we're going to talk about is lowering death taxes. That's income tax and other taxes that are due if we pass away. And understanding...
If we pass away? I'm
trying to be nice. I don't want people to be depressed about things.
Yeah, this is something that is probably non-negotiable.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
Unless you have better connections upstairs than we do.
Well, I always love to have that option.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so we're talking about lowering death tax because we know we're going to pay we're going to I'm sorry. My quote from Will Rogers, the difference between death and taxes is death doesn't get worse every time Congress meets. So I thought we'd just kick it off with that topic and really cover some ideas on ways to maximize our wealth even upon a death.
Well, you're talking about 2 things. There's things you can do now to actually lower your own tax exposure, but by doing that, you're going to make it easier for your beneficiaries. Now, Congress just changed the tax law recently in the last couple of years with you may have heard about the Secure Act. And let me tell you something about Congress. After studying tax law for over 40 years, I've learned one thing, or I've noticed one thing that's a constant. Whenever Congress names a tax law, you can almost always bet that whatever name they give it, it will do exactly the opposite. How's that Deficit Reduction Act working out for you, for one example? So when I saw the Secure Act, I said, oh boy, hold on to your wallets. And that's exactly what they did. Congress felt that, on one hand, Congress is saying, oh, people aren't saving enough for retirement. We have to let them put more money in. And then we put more money in. Now they're saying they have too much in their retirement savings. We're not going to let them get away with that. We're going to make sure that only they can get the benefit of it. So that's, in essence, what the Congress did with the Secure Act. It doesn't affect you as much during your lifetime, but it affects your beneficiaries who will have to pull out whatever they inherit from you, say in your IRA or 401k, and most of that will have to come out within 10 years after death, and that could hit your beneficiaries. And remember, at that point, your beneficiaries may be in their 50s or even older and may be in their own highest earning earnings years, and to push all the savings you had in your lifetime in your IRA, whatever amount you leave over to them, into a short 10-year window of taxation. A lot of that will be lost in taxes. You can do something about that now. One of the things we talked about on the earlier segment was the Roth IRA. Leaving your beneficiaries a Roth IRA relieves them of that huge tax bill in the 10 years after you pass away. Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you needed air.
Just I used the word pass away, and I had a applause.
I'm sorry.
Don't take it literally.
It was such a funny thing because you just stopped all of a sudden, and I'm thinking, oh, well, all right. So what happens is this. I love the joke on the radio show. We want you to be winning in retirement. How do we win? We keep our money. So when Ed and I are talking about lowering taxes, we're talking about lowering tax now and for your whole family. So as we're talking about lowering death taxes and the Secure Act, we were covering the idea of how your beneficiaries can spread this out over 10 years. That's the Roth tax-free, and even the taxation of the IRAs and 401ks are spread out over a 10-year period. But there's a lot of rules and a lot of sophistication on who receives it and when they should receive it. The other idea is really about how to deliver more tax-free, and that's the subject of life insurance. And when we talk about planning, how would you recommend to use life insurance in planning like this?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Now, just for the listeners, I'm Ed SLOTT. I'm a CPA and a tax advisor. And it's important that you know that. And it's important that you know this. And I mention it on every public television show. You may have seen me say this 100 times on Maryland Public Television. I am a tax advisor. I do not sell any financial products. I don't sell stocks, bonds, funds, insurance, annuities, none of that. I'm a tax advisor. And what we do is we train advisors like Brian so they can pass the tax strategies and the tax savings ideas on to you. As a tax advisor, I have to tell you the single biggest benefit in the tax code is the tax exemption for life insurance. Now, that may strike you as odd. And again, I don't sell it, but I've done this for my family, my own family, myself, my parents, everything. There's no question. The tax exemption for life insurance, the income tax exemption, is the single biggest benefit in the tax code, and most people don't take advantage of it. And I'm not just talking about the death benefit to the beneficiaries. I'm talking about permanent life insurance, cash value, whole life insurance, whatever you want to call it. Again, I'm not an insurance person. Brian would know more about that than me. But I'm talking about it as a vehicle to create wealth that you can use actually during your life. I did this myself, and leverage that to beneficiaries so they can inherit more and more of it tax-free. And you can build more with life insurance, building up that cash value like I've been doing the last several years on my own, tax-free. The whole key here, everything we're talking about on this program, and this is where Brian is specifically trained in tax planning strategies, is to reduce taxes to the bare minimum or get rid of them altogether. Move from forever tax to never tax. So you never have to worry about Congress raising the rates just when you reach in for yours. The problem is most of your money is in a taxable account, an IRA, a 401k. We talked about the Roth IRA in the last segment, moving from an IRA to a Roth. You pay tax up front. But if you can get that money out at a low rate, you'll have more later on, and you will relieve your beneficiaries of paying that income tax as well. You can do the same thing, somewhat the same. And again, I'm oversimplifying it. Every situation is different. That's why you'll want to have a personal consultation with somebody like Brian that can explain how these strategies would work with your particular facts and circumstances. Everybody's different. Not everything I'm saying is for everybody. But the idea would be similar to a Roth, almost like a super Roth, where you take money down from your IRA at low rates and use that money after tax to put into a life insurance policy where you get leverage, where you can actually build large amounts of cash value. It takes a little time, and you'll see that cash value build up that you could tap into during life if it turns out you need it. It's sort of in its most simplified terms, and I'm maybe oversimplifying it, I am, sort of like you taking an advance on your own life insurance. Lots of times I throw this question out to audiences. Can you be the beneficiary of your own life insurance without dying? Think about that. Can you be the beneficiary of your own life insurance without dying? And the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
By building up that cash value. If it turns out you need to tap into it, you can take an advance, in essence, an advance on your life insurance tax-free. So that's a pretty important concept because it's a way to save tax-free without having to share any of that with the government. And if it turns out you don't need the money, yes, then the beneficiaries will get that tax-free windfall. The only loser is Uncle Sam. Again, a tax strategy to help you keep more of your net worth intact for you and your family. Now, some people, Brian, when I mention this in programs, they say, but Ed, if I take the money out and use it during my lifetime, won't my beneficiaries get less? So I look at them and I say, well, who cares about them? This is about you. This is about you. Don't worry. People make the mistake of worrying too much about the next generation. You have to take care of yourself first. Think of it, what's in it for me? That's all you care about. Whatever the beneficiaries get is gravy. They're still going to get plenty. You have to do what's best for you now. And this gives you access using this cash value life insurance plan like I have for myself and my family. And some of them have even riders. I have that on mine for long-term care insurance in case it's needed. You can get it right out of the life insurance policy. And the reason I did that is that the last thing that I want to worry about is if I need nursing home or large medical care, the last thing I want to worry about is my kids being able to come up with the thousands of dollars needed every month for my care. I want to know this is taken care of, and you can do that too by using this life insurance strategy. And if it turns out you don't need it, then yes, the kids will get a substantial windfall tax-free. But that's not really why you're doing it. That's just a side benefit. You're doing it to provide financial security tax-free for yourself. It's about you first. They'll still end up with plenty, and plenty of it tax-free. And the way to do it, if the only money available is in your IRA, get it out at low rates. Remember, always pay taxes when the rates are lowest, which is right now. This is an incredible strategy, often missed by most people.
And absolutely. It's one of those great strategies, and it's part of our 4 ways to maximize your retirement savings is to consider the taxation upon death and ways to use life insurance to benefit you and all of your family. So this end of the third quarter here, what we're going to cover again is his book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. We will give that out to anybody that comes in to sit down with one of our team of advisors to talk about their retirement plan and their tax strategies when it ties to their retirement money. So if you'd like to set up a time for that free consultation, all you got to do is go to our website at akersfinancialgroup.com, scroll to the schedule a meeting section, and let us know you'd like to schedule your free consultation with one of our team of advisors. That's akersfinancialgroup.com, or you can call us at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. We'll give you a call on Monday to schedule your free in-person meeting. So go ahead to our website, akersfinancialgroup.com, or call us at 833-946-7384 to start planning for your retirement now. In 1934, Judge Learned Hand presented a case to the Supreme Court, and they agreed with this statement. Anyone may arrange his or her affairs so that his taxes shall be as low as possible. He is not bound to choose that pattern which best pays the Treasury. There is not even a patriotic duty to increase one's taxes. We're going to talk about some more about that with you and talking about paying less in just 2 minutes in the fourth quarter.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show. Welcome back to Winning in Retirement. Call 833-WIN-RETIRE now to schedule a visit with Brian and his team and begin winning in retirement. Once again, here's Brian Akers.
I'm here. I'm ready to go. We're in the fourth quarter. When did I say, if you were watching or listening, I should say, to this, in the first quarter, I mentioned about how most football games are won or lost in the last 3 or 4 seconds of the last quarter, right? You see it in college, you see it in pros all the time. Somebody kicks a field goal, last 3 seconds, it's over. It's the same thing with retirement. So listen up in this last quarter and we'll round it out. But the main thing you need to know, if you've been listening to everything so far, is that you can save a fortune in taxes if you have the right advice from a knowledgeable advisor that has specialized knowledge in the tax planning. That's what we do, not me, myself. Our company is an education company that trains advisors like Brian, who is a company that you can rely on to have at least as a minimum, before this year ends, have a conversation about tax planning strategies that may benefit you. Most advisors don't have that specialized knowledge. They can help you make money, but the key to retirement planning is not only making money, is keeping it. You don't want to blow it in the last 3 seconds of the game.
Absolutely. So here in Baltimore, we love last 3 seconds because we have the best kicker ever. So that really helps us here in Baltimore.
That's right. Right. You love the last. So hopefully you have just to complete the analogy to your retirement. Hopefully you have a good kicker, and that's where a good advisor with specialized knowledge in tax planning. Yep. Tax planning to me is everything. You can make a fortune, and you could avoid losing a fortune. When I say losing in the stock market is one thing, but losing to taxes doesn't have to be done. It's just most people don't do anything, or they don't have an advisor that can guide them through the end of the game.
And that's why this fourth quarter is geared towards maximizing the tax law, making sure you understand some ideas so that you can maximize the tax law. As you hear things throughout the show, give us a call at Akers Financial Group. You just go ahead and give us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE, or go to our website, akersfinancialgroup.com, and let's get started talking about how this applies to you. Now, I was reading that quote earlier from Judge Edward Hand about basically the permission for you to actually do the best you can on a tax return. It's not your civic duty to pay maximum taxes. I thought that was a good thing back in 1934, and it still applies today.
I said it at the beginning of our program. There's no obligation to fork over more than you have to Uncle Sam. And if you remember, I reminded you, he's not even your real uncle, so there really is no obligation there. Yeah,
there's no family commitment at all. All right, so Ed, so year end, here we are in 2022. We got about 45 days left in this year. What are some year-end tax advice that you would give as a CPA?
Well, let's wrap up with some of the things we talked about, like the Roth IRA. I would immediately have a conversation, and don't wait 45 days or however many days there'll be. You don't want to start doing anything the last 2 weeks of December.
Absolutely.
That's when the financial institutions are loaded with RMD, required minimum distributions, last-minute transactions, stock transactions. They're buried. You want to start right after, as soon as possible, usually in the first week of December. Why then? Because by then, the mutual fund companies, as you know, Brian, will be throwing off and reporting the capital gains. So you'll have a better position of what your actual 2022 income and tax bracket might be. Then you can sit down with an advisor like Brian that can do the tax planning and have talks. That's why I say, I'm not saying do everything I'm talking about, because not everything applies to everybody. Mm-hmm. But at a minimum, you should expose yourself to hearing about the strategies and have a conversation about a Roth conversion, for example. See how much is in your IRA. See what bracket you're going to be in. See what it would cost you to do a Roth conversion. And remember, don't be short-sighted. Don't say, well, I don't want to pay money on this. And remember, with Roth conversions, this is why it's so important to sit down with a professional. Roth conversions, there's no do-overs. Once you convert, yes, you will owe the tax. There's no going back. They changed that part of the tax law a few years back. So you'll have to know how much it's going to cost ahead of time. You know, even if your financial situation changes next year when the bill comes due for the taxes, you still are on the hook. And that shouldn't deter you from doing a Roth conversion. It should encourage you to have a conversation with your tax planning advisors, your financial planners, a person like Brian and his company here, so you can see how much you can get out of your IRA at these unbelievably the big and low brackets, these low tax brackets. I mean, I'm just looking at the brackets now. For a married couple filing joint, you can have up to $340,000 in taxable income and still only be in a 24% bracket. That's almost unheard of. We never had things like this before, so I'm urging you to at least have a conversation before year end to start taking advantage of it. Start pulling down that money from your IRA at the lowest possible rates. I talked about the tax benefits for life insurance. Same idea, getting that money out at low rates, and see if that's a situation that you might be able to take advantage. Something we didn't talk about, Brian, but I thought it'd be good to mention before the year end, giving to charity.
Yep.
Now, most people, unfortunately, well, it's nice you give to charity, but unfortunately, most people no longer get any tax benefit for gifts they give to charity because most people take the standard deduction. So they don't get the itemized deduction. But some people can get a workaround around that. It's called a QCD, Qualified Charitable Distribution, where you can take money that you want to give to charity. And remember, I'm not talking about just giving to charity to save on taxes. I would never do that. If that was the case, then I would say give all your money away and then you'll never pay taxes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about many of you listening already know that you make certain gifts. Lots of people do it in December. I'm just saying, whatever amount you're giving currently, do it a different way. If you do it through this QCD, Qualified Charitable Distribution, you can save on taxes with the same amount of gift. The only negative with a QCD is that it doesn't apply to enough people. Now, that's why, again, you have to have a conversation with Brian to see if you qualify. The only people that qualify are IRA owners or beneficiaries who must be 70 and a half years old or older. Now, some of you may know that the tax law recently raised the required minimum distribution RMD age to 72, but they left the QCD age, Qualified Charitable Distributions, to 70 and a half. So you can get money out. It would be a transfer, a direct transfer, and Brian and his firm could walk you through how to do this from your IRA direct to the charity. And you know what happens? I've been talking this whole program about getting money out of your IRA at the lowest rates. You know what a QCD does? It lets you get money out of that IRA at 0% taxes. You don't get an itemized deduction, but you get better than that, an exclusion from income that can lower your adjusted gross income, which is a key factor on your tax return, a key number that can determine what other benefits, deductions, or credits you might qualify for. So this is a great thing. And for those of you who are subject to RMDs after age 72, the QCD, if it's done in the right order, and that's something Brian can guide you through. We train our advisors like Brian heavily on that. If you do the QCD first, it can satisfy the RMD, so you don't even have to take it. It can go right to the charity. And again, this is money you were going to give anyway. So you can save a lot of money by doing that and getting money out of your IRA at a 0% tax rate. And this is money you were going to give anyway. So that's another strategy you may want to look at before year end. You also may want to look at taking some money if you're in a lower bracket this year, even if you're not subject to IRAs, and again, convert it to a Roth or even take it down for other reasons, just to get money out if you can at low rates. If you're going to take out, I would say always convert it to a Roth, because why not house it in a tax-free vehicle? I love anything that's tax-free because remember, I said it a few times, a tax-free vehicle like Roth IRAs or life insurance are probably the best hedge against the uncertainty of what future higher tax rates can do to your standard of living in retirement. In fact, if tax rates increase, which I suspect they will in a few years, anything tax-free becomes immediately more valuable. That's what you want to have over time. Maybe the best plan is in moderation, take down a little, do conversions or to life insurance, small amounts over several years. So over time, you're pulling down that future, that IRA balance that could be a future big noose around your neck of taxes, and building up tax-free either in a Roth or in a 401k. Look at in a Roth or life insurance. You can do a Roth 401k too. You may want to look that up if you're still working and have money in a plan. You can move from a 401k to a Roth 401k if you qualify and they have it. You can move from an IRA to a Roth. You can take down money from an IRA if the situation is right for you for the life insurance strategy I talked about. Pay the tax and then take that money that you got out at low rates and put it into a life insurance policy that can provide you cash value that grows tax-free for the rest of your life and a tax-free windfall in the death benefit for your beneficiaries. And remember, think about the planning for the next generation. We talked about planning after death. You may want to make taxes easier for the beneficiaries so they don't have to pay a lot of taxes on IRAs they might inherit from you. The tax law has dramatically closed the window, giving most of them a 10-year rule where all the money has to come out. There's a lot of things you can talk to your advisor about. The main thing coming down to the end of this program is that the big takeaway for you is there's a lot that can be done to save you a fortune in taxes now for the rest of your life and even beyond to your beneficiaries. But the point is to have a conversation now. Make an appointment, have a conversation now, and see which of all these strategies we talked about. We didn't even talk about all of them yet because we're limited on time, but which of these strategies can work for you and your family?
Absolutely, Ed. Thank you very much for your time today, Ed, to be on our show, Winning in Retirement. Thanks very much, Ed.
Great to be here.
I appreciate it.
That you're studying and learning about all of these things with our Elite IRA Advisor Group, and you made a commitment to education and knowledge, and I hope more people understand how important that is, and to tap into your knowledge base, and through us, obviously you have us as a back office.
Absolutely.
You're in a great place to give this kind of advice with our help, and I hope people take advantage of it.
I hope so, too, because this has been a great show. Like we've been talking about during the show, their show has been called 4 Ways to Maximize Retirement Savings with Ed SLOTT here throughout the day. This show is also, we're giving away his book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. To get that book, you call at Akers Financial Group. You go to our website or give us a call. And when you come in and have that free consultation, we'll give you a copy of his book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb. How do you reach Akers Financial Group? What you do is you give us a call at 833-WIN-RETIRE. That's 833-WIN-RETIRE. When you give us a call on Monday to schedule your free in-person or Zoom meeting with one of our team of advisors. Start planning for your retirement now. Go to AkersFinancialGroup.com. Give us a call at 833-946-7384. Thank you for listening. I'm Brian Akers from Akers Financial Group, and we want you to be winning in retirement.
You've been listening to Winning in Retirement with your host, Brian Akers of Akers Financial Group. Akers Financial Group offers securities through Archedios Capital, an SIPC and FINRA member firm. Advisory services are provided through Archedios Wealth. Akers Financial Group and Archedios do not share any common ownership. Neither Archedios nor Akers Financial Group provides tax or legal advice. Advice given on Winning in Retirement is general in nature, and one should seek further advice from their financial advisor, broker, attorney, and or tax accountant before investing. Be sure to read each prospectus carefully to understand all the risks associated with each investment. Examples and scenarios shared are meant to be for illustrative purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results.